Hello everyone, I'm JG and welcome back to Music Forever, where today I'm going to be reviewing the newest EP from Backxwash Stigmata. This is the follow-up project to Backwash's last album, God Has Nothing to Do with This, Leave Him Out of It, an album that came out just a couple of months ago, and I will link in the description down below my review of that project. And the short version of my review of that thing was that I really loved that album. It was one of my favorite records of 2020 so far, a really great hip-hop project, so I was excited to see what was going to happen on this new EP here. And pretty much, Stigmata ends up being a really great follow-up to that album. In a lot of ways, this project expands on some of the ideas that were present on that album, while at the same time adding some new elements into it as well. The end result still ends up being really enjoyable, though. Stylistically, this project still sees Backxwash playing around with this very dark, very heavy style of hip-hop, which is often influenced by genres like metal music, particularly here on this EP. Pretty much all of the tracks here sample music from different Christian metal bands in order to build parts of their instrumentals. And I think this is a pretty cool idea, not only because, the whole Christian metal thing fits in with some of the themes and ideas present in the lyrics of this project, but also because, more generally speaking, the metal influence in the instrumentals leads to these beats having this heavier, more abrasive sound to them that I really like, and that don't really sound like any other instrumentals from any other artist out there that I could think of. On all the instrumentals here, you've got some pretty great riffs and some pretty great atmosphere as a result of that. You have a lot of really great percussion here as well. It's really hard hitting, and I really like the approach to the instrumentals here on this project when it comes to the sampling and things like that. It's pretty different and unique when compared to a lot of other rap metal out there. And when it comes to Backxwash herself and her performances on this project, they're pretty great. A lot of her flows on this thing are really fantastic. They have a lot of energy to them. They pair up really nicely with these very aggressive and energized instrumentals. The lyrics to this project are also pretty great too, featuring Backxwash continuing to mix Christian imagery along with very dark subject matter in the lyrics of this project. And given the sound of this project, I think the lyrics pair pretty nicely with what's going on instrumentally here. The hooks here on this project are another aspect of this EP that I really enjoyed. For example, on the title track to this thing, Backxwash has this very abrasive but at the same time really catchy hook that's one of the most memorable that she's had on a song so far. And then on the track Demons, you have Debbie McCallion of the group Black Dresses coming on to provide the hook here, which is also a very catchy hook, but at the same time one that's very ominous and menacing in its own unique way too. I really like it and what it adds to this song. And speaking of features here on this project, I think that despite the fact that there's a good amount of featured artists here on this thing, I think that they all do a really good job at providing to this project in a way that, obviously showcases the individual artist's talent, but at the same time, it doesn't take away from the core artist here on this EP. It never feels like Backxwash is being outshined by any of her features or anything like that. It always feels like these featured artists are just adding to these tracks in really great ways, whether it be when it comes to some of the vocals that are added to this thing or some of the instrumentals that see contributions from some of these featured artists. I think they all do a pretty good job here. Another one of the more interesting moments on this EP is the closing track, which is provided by Joni Void, the song Interlude of Doom, which is this instrumental piece, pretty different from anything else on the EP, though it still does maintain a very similar atmosphere to the rest of the project, even if it is a bit less aggressive and in your face and a bit more, atmospheric, I guess you could say. It's definitely an interesting way to end off this EP. I think the sound of this track is pretty nice. And some of the different ideas and samples that are worked into this relatively short instrumental track are kind of interesting too. Like, there's one point here where I'm pretty sure the outro to the Electric Wizard song Funeralopolis is sampled. You also have like the Doom Door sound effect sampled at one point. A pretty interesting blend of sounds, but it never feels too all over the place or out of place when compared to the other three tracks on the record. It just sounds like a nice kind of atmospheric instrumental that fits in pretty nicely with the other three tracks. I do think its role as a closer is maybe a bit odd, but I still think the track itself is really enjoyable. So overall, this is a really enjoyable EP in my opinion. The instrumentals here are really unique and fantastic. The rapping is great. The hooks are super memorable. The lyrics are great as well. All the features add a lot to the tracks that they appear on. And I just really appreciate Backxwash's approach to rap metal here on this project, just because of how different it is from a lot of the artists that probably come to your mind when you hear the term rap metal thrown around. It doesn't sound like Rage Against the Machine or like Limp Bizkit, if you want to give a worse example of the genre. It's a very unique take on the sound. At the same time, it's just really well performed here on this thing. If you're not listening to Backxwash, you certainly need to change that. Check out this EP, check out the album that came out earlier this year as well, because that's a great project too. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say here when it comes to this EP. Give this a listen for sure. But with that said, that concludes today's review. Thank you guys for watching this video. Everything I said here today is just my own personal opinion, so if you happen to disagree, that's perfectly fine. In fact, feel free to leave your own thoughts on this EP in the comment section down below. And while you're down there, make sure you also leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for more music-related content. Things like album reviews, discussion videos, countdown lists, things of that sort. Again, guys, thank you guys for watching this video, and stay golden.